We have so much Tesla stock news today. Let's go through everything, starting with a warning to all Tesla stock investors. The former president says he will hire Elon Musk to lead the suggested government efficiency commission and that Musk has already agreed to lead it. So this is now official. It's no longer speculation that Elon Musk would be part of the government. It is now basically confirmed if the former president is elected. So if he is elected, the noise and immune response from the government bureaucrats will be unlike anything we have seen against Elon Musk. I think we have only really been warming up to it until now in terms of what kind of attacks we have seen. They will be shouting bloody murder literally, and Elon Musk agrees. And because of that, of course, Tesla will also be definitely a target. There's so much big Tesla and Elon Musk news. Here's another one. The 100 most influential people in AI have been announced by the Time magazine. The CEO of Nvidia is here, of course, obviously, and even people like Marcus Brownlee, who is a tech reviewer, doesn't really contribute to AI, but just reviews tech, is also on here, so obviously Elon Musk is here too. It's just interesting how he's not on the magazine, though, on the cover. Now, actually, it turns out that somehow Elon Musk is not on the list despite recently bringing online the most powerful AI training system in the world with XAI. When a media outlet like Time makes a clearly prejudiced decision, like not including someone as obvious as Elon Musk being in the list of most influential in AI, they're only harming themselves. It's such a killer move from them, really. So everyone is talking about how Elon Musk was snubbed from Time's most influential people in AI list. It's amusing that there are people saying this. My feed is full of Elon fans complaining that Elon is not on Time's 100 most influential AI people list. Who cares? Elon keeps saying that mainstream media is basically all poop. You can't complain about that and also complain that they don't include you in their stuff. Pick a lane, folks. But this is literally proof why media is all poop. So how? What do you mean we can't or shouldn't complain about that? It's literally showing us that they have extreme biases. This is so blatantly obvious, and it's not often that they do something so extremely blatantly obvious. Sometimes they're a bit more subtle. But maybe the Time magazine is not aware of Elon Musk. Okay, and then I would forgive such a despicable move from them. But turns out that the Time magazine named Elon Musk as the person of the year of 2021. My condolences, sincere condolences, go to everyone who still trusts the mainstream media, like, for example, the Time magazine. Most of them are basically all the same. Occasionally, you get these stories that just show their extreme bias, and stories like that allow everyone to open their eyes. Unfortunately, you can only do that if the mainstream media is not your primary news source or the only news source, but for many, it is still, even today, the only news source that they actually consume. And they sometimes do it with every single subject that they report on. That includes politics, of course, so you cannot just read one news publication and say, oh, this is definitely right. You have to look at everything, unfortunately. And by the way, if you're wondering why Tesla stock is doing what it's doing today, it's because the markets are down. Everything is down today. I didn't see any actual good reason for Tesla stock being down other than that, except for one. Electrics reporter Fred Lambert actually got fully out of Tesla stock. He sold all of his shares. So going forward from today, officially, Fred Lambert from Electric is no longer, definitely in no way, shape, or form, a Tesla bull. And I didn't really consider him a Tesla bull. I thought of him more of a Tesla bear, but now I expect him to be a little bit more negative, even more negative about Tesla stock going forward. And when it comes to understanding the bear thesis, I think Fred Lambert actually does a pretty good job. So that's one reason why I still follow Electric. I want to understand exactly what the bears are thinking. One of the major things that he presented here was he felt unaligned with the Tesla shareholder base. When you feel unaligned with your fellow shareholders, you have two options: try to get them on your side or sell. I tried the former and failed. He also sees signs of a recession coming, and he wants to be more liquid in case it's a bad one. And he also says that he was really worried about the mission that Tesla had, and that was one major reason why he invested, supposedly. Accelerating the advent of electric transport. To be clear, I think Tesla was very successful in its mission. I just don't think that going forward it is a priority for the company. I would actually disagree with that. I do see his point, but saying that Tesla is not aligned with its mission just because it's now all about AI and self-driving and robots, I don't think that actually is going to be right in the end, because think about this. Let's say overall you want to minimize pollution and improve the environment. Do you want to have a super valuable asset sitting out there that barely gets used, or would you want that asset, car, be used a lot of the time during the day in a form of a robotaxi? Now, which one do you think is more environmentally friendly? A car that barely gets used and is basically used just by one person or one family, or a car that's used by basically everyone most of the day, most of the time? And self-driving, by the way, has been in the Tesla master plan for quite a while now, so this is not a new shift, really. And he's not even saying that those things are wrong or that they will not happen. He just thinks that these technologies are important and will transform the world, but it's not what he invested in. Also, there's this. Tesla bull Ross Gerber sets a 6-month deadline for Elon Musk-led EV company to improve performance, or he plans to exit his position. He sees the stock as really overvalued. But is it really about Tesla stock, or is it about something else? Ross Gerber cited Musk's erratic behavior on social media. I think many can also say similar things about Ross Gerber. The controversial revamp of Twitter, now known as X, and political controversies as reasons for his change of heart. He receives daily calls from clients asking to sell Tesla stock, expressing their desire to distance themselves from Musk, the Business Insider reported. So it's not really about Tesla, the company, it's about the clients who politically don't like Elon Musk. So, okay, that makes sense why he would want to sell, because obviously he wants to keep his clients. And for that, I'm definitely not going to blame him, because, hey, look, he owns a fund, he runs a fund. If he wants to keep his clients, he has to do it to a certain extent. And Ross Gerber doesn't exactly strike me as someone who would just go against his clients. Some will say that's a bad thing, some will say it's a good thing. It's pretty clear, though, that's an effective strategy, relatively speaking, when it comes to maintaining your clients and therefore keeping the fees from the clients. So I'm not criticizing him for that. Ross Gerber, this is, I think, including all of his clients, still holds $60 million in Tesla shares. So technically, he's still a Tesla bull today, because he still owns some Tesla stock, quite a bit actually, relatively speaking, when compared to his total holdings. But it's not his biggest position, definitely not. But also, I don't really think that Ross Gerber fully believes in this statement that he just made. I see the stock as really overvalued right now because I don't think they make any of their numbers. If that was true, how come he hasn't sold all of his Tesla stock already? Ross Gerber predicted that Tesla stock could drop another 15% this year. And you can, I think even in good years, of Tesla stock, you could make this statement and you would almost definitely be right, because it's just too volatile. So I assign almost no value really to a statement like that. Now, if he said a 50% drop from here, okay, that would be pretty big. And he believes that Rivian could be the next Tesla if they scale production and lower prices. But the big asterisk here is if. We know that Volkswagen is in a lot of trouble right now, so that investment from Volkswagen into Rivian may not fully materialize. Anyway, Ross Gerber being negative about Tesla stock is nothing new. He's been negative for quite a long time now. And the shift really started when Elon Musk became a bit more political. So I think this is not really a financial decision in terms of, oh, is this stock going to do well or not? It's more of a political decision. Oh, my clients are going to be upset at me if I keep holding Tesla stock because Elon Musk is going to be making some huge political comments. And if the former president wins, then Elon Musk will go further in a certain direction that Ross Gerber's clients would absolutely hate. So I see this not as an investment decision, but a business decision. Oh, and keep in mind that this story is from September 2nd. It didn't just happen today. And now let's move on to some other big Tesla news. This is the current expected self-driving timeline. Tesla AI account made this post. Due to popular demand, Tesla AI team releases this roadmap for FSD. In September 2024, they expect to release 12.5.2, 3x improved miles between necessary interventions. By the way, I've already seen V12.5.3 being released before this post was actually announced, so I said in the previous video that Tesla just skipped this version, but turns out they didn't. The Tesla team is planning to release 12.5.2 on AI3 computers as well. And then we got the Ashley Smart Summon coming out, the Cybertruck Auto Park feature, eye tracking with sunglasses. Right now, if you put sunglasses on, you go back to the nag. And finally, supposedly, we should have end-to-end network on highway, but this has been promised for such a long time that if it gets delayed, I will not be surprised at all. And in October, we should see unpark, park, and reverse for the first time in FSD. And then V13 should have a 6x improvement in miles between necessary interventions. This is big. These would be some serious implications. Now, it's not clearly written if this 6x improvement is compared to this version right here, or are they comparing this to the current FSD version? Knowing how Tesla and Elon Musk sometimes can play with words to make you think one thing, but in reality is just exactly what's written, I would want to or try to tend to assume that the 6x improvement is based on current FSD capabilities and not based on 12.5.2, which is already a 3x improvement. So really, this should probably be a 2x improvement compared to 12.5.2. Also, another thing is, I'm really happy to see miles between interventions improve and that number get better, but also Tesla is not publishing any data, so it's a bit difficult to hold Tesla accountable to these promises. But keep in mind that for the first time, basically, these promises are coming not from Elon Musk, but from the Tesla team directly. So we will see if maybe the Tesla team is a lot more conservative and maybe they are not actually even over-promising. Maybe they are under-promising. We'll find out. And then in Q1 of 2025, FSD should be in Europe and FSD should be in China too. I'm looking forward to that, and pending approval is already in place, I guess, unless they actually meant that in Q1 in Europe they will apply for a regulatory approval, meaning that in Q1 of 2025 they would have a pending approval in Europe, meaning it's not really clear how long it's going to take to get it approved. And Elon Musk added hopefully right-hand drive markets in late Q1, early Q2, pending regulatory approval. Now, during the Q2 earnings call this year, Elon Musk said that we will ask for regulatory approval of the Tesla supervised FSD in Europe and China and other countries. And I think we are likely to receive that before the end of the year. So this is still pretty recent. So I think the pending approval means that probably Elon Musk expects the software to actually be approved in Europe and in China in Q1 of next year. Cybertruck also commented on this post saying, "Can't wait to receive my brain." Elon Musk apologizes. It has taken so long to give it a brain. Anyway, Gary Black also commented on this. The Tesla expected Q1 timing of supervised FSD launching in Europe and China is in line with his expectations. By the way, I have seen some people saying that basically Tesla has already asked for FSD approval in Europe and China. It's just that it's pending at this moment. And you can certainly make an argument about that because it's not explicitly stated here. If Tesla said FSD in Europe currently pending regulatory approval, then I would agree with that take. For now, I'll just assume Tesla has not submitted everything, but they are obviously working on it. Because the thing is, from what Elon Musk said before, they are going to get FSD approval for 12.5 or 12.6, and knowing that Elon Musk usually is a bit optimistic, I assume it's going to be 12.6 and not 12.5, and as we know, 12.6 is definitely not out yet. However, Elon Musk did say that with 12.5, they will ask for regulatory approval, so maybe it is pending already. But I doubt that because we haven't really seen a wide deployment of the latest V12 version. And seeing that they expect a 6x improved miles between necessary interventions, I actually assume that regulatory approval will be asked for V13, and they are probably not even going to bother with V 12.5. Anyway, Tesla bulls are really excited by this announcement from Tesla. Omar wants to buy more Tesla stock. He says if the Tesla AI team achieves even half their roadmap, they deserve a big fat bonus. Omar did a poll, skip FSD 13 and just go straight to FSD 14 in October. Most people say no, that's stupid. Only some people say yes, could be bad luck. I really do like this new transparency from the Tesla team, but the price of that is when this version ships, more likely in November. I mean, the FSD 13 version instead of October, people are gonna be upset. But we are dealing with people who are not Elon Musk here, so maybe they are not actually overshooting their goals here. Rohan Ma, who founded and scaled Autobidder at Tesla, has announced he's leaving the company after 8 years. Today, Tesla Energy is thriving, and I can confidently say it's in the best position it has ever been in to drive impact toward the original mission I signed up for. Which would mean that Gordon Johnson would say that Tesla Energy clearly has no future. And back to FSD, not to rain on everyone's Tesla parade with the new AI schedule, but I'm not sure it's wise to take all of these MPI, miles per intervention, promises as gospel, says Dylan Loomis from Electrified. We now have Tesla saying FSD 12.5.2 will be 3x better when it comes to MPI, and V13 will be 6 times better. But let's not forget when Elon said 12.4 was going to be 5 to 10 times better than 12.3. Version 12.4 never even made it to wide release, and at least in my experience, even 12.5 has not been that type of improvement. If Tesla wants to continually make statements like this, I think it's time they release some actual MPI data for FSD. I just don't want Elon and Tesla setting the expectations too high and leaving even more people disillusioned. Tesla fans will be fine, but we're now beyond early adopters. At this stage, I think it would be much better for Tesla to under-promise and over-deliver, not vice versa. I don't think this is actually anything new that we're seeing from Tesla. Generally speaking, looking at Tesla, there have been over-promises, and under-delivering, and then one day you have massive things happening to a point where, oh, actually, this whole time turns out he was under-promising and eventually he over-delivered. It's just that it took more time to materialize everything. It first happened in the early Tesla days. As you can see here, Tesla stock was trading at just $1.50, and then it jumped 500% when people realized, oh, actually, he is not under-delivering, he's actually over-delivering, and this whole time he wasn't over-promising, he was under-promising, basically. And then the same thing basically happened much later, right here, where again, Tesla stock jumped a lot, and I believe the same thing is going to happen again. And in the meantime, it will appear that Elon Musk or the Tesla team, that they are all over-promising and under-delivering, but that's not true. We just need to give them a little bit more time. So it just depends on the time scale you look at. Is he really under-promising or over-promising? It all depends on the time frame. I became a Tesla stock investor in early 2019, and so I have no complaints at all. Omar has a very good point here. If I had to choose between watching Tesla stock shoot up and watching miles per intervention shoot up, I pick the latter every single time. I definitely agree with him. This period is way more amazing than any other time in Tesla's history. Glad we all get to be here to see it together. Although for many, ideally, they would like to see both at the same time, but the world is a bit more complicated than that. Peggy did a post here asking people, what's the biggest threat to Tesla? And the replies were interesting. Looks like the biggest threat to Tesla is not the competition. It's not delaying FSD. It's not the other humanoid bot startups. It's still Elon based on most replies. I've been seeing so many people talk about this story. Tesla FSD is $1 billion business on its way to becoming $1 trillion business, and the headline reads, Tesla's full self-driving is already worth $1 to $3 billion in sales with upside to $75 billion by 2030. This is from Goldman. If you attach roughly a 69% margin to the $75 billion sales number, you will get approximately $50 billion in earnings, which would be worth at least $1 trillion if you apply a 20 PE. I'm not sure why this is going around, because this is from a year ago. but the new roadmap from Tesla got everyone excited. I very briefly touched on this earlier. Tesla plans to use rotating seats in robotaxis. This screenshot is from Tesla, actually. Tesla applied for permission to use seats like this in Australia, but this patent is actually from 2021. The whole thing could look something like this. I don't expect there to be a steering wheel though, but yeah, the seats will rotate. I've also seen quite a few reports of new FSD versions coming out, so check your car if you have FSD, if you haven't received the newest version yet. And Tesla continues to crack down on leakers. Oh, the release notes of these new versions now have VIN number watermarks, so it's getting quite a bit more difficult for Tesla employees to leak anything. If you didn't know, Tesla has an early access program. We call them Wave 1, which allows employees access to newest updates before they are made available to the public. I personally like this update. Tesla now charges by partial kilowatt hours at superchargers instead of just rounding down to the nearest kilowatt hour. What? There is news in China that Elon bought a property in Beijing worth around $150 million. Is this real? I assume it's not. The article discusses Elon Musk reportedly purchasing a property in Beijing for $150 million. The property is located at number 88 Courtyard, a luxury development in Beijing. Probably this is just a marketing ploy by the developer. Or it could be some person just changing his name to Elon Musk and then they literally say, oh, it's Elon Musk. But 150 million? No, it would have to be actual Elon Musk. Anyway, I'm going through the comments and I don't see anyone saying it's real. Everyone's basically saying this is fake, and I'm not really seeing anyone verifying this. So I assume this is not real. But the reports are real. It's just that they are probably based on someone who's just trying to promote himself with, most likely, a fake story. I think this is relevant for us Tesla stock investors as well. The war between Elon Musk and the judge in Brazil continues, and this is probably going to seriously escalate, and I don't think Elon Musk is going to back down. And I haven't seen any support really from the current politicians who are in power, like the president of the USA and stuff like that, who are supporting Elon Musk. I don't think we are seeing any support like that. Basically, the judge froze Starlink's bank accounts in Brazil, and Elon Musk said on his main timeline, no question that the judge engaged in election interference in Brazil at large scale. And SpaceX actually has moved to evacuate employees from Brazil and warned others against traveling to the country, even if it's just traveling to Brazil for pleasure. Also, what is going on here? Nicolas Maduro, the guy who's leading Venezuela right now, he's broadcasting himself as a portrayed holy superhero called Super Mustache, and he's portraying Elon Musk as this evil guy here. Actually, this guy's airplane has been seized by the US just now. So Elon Musk lately has been getting himself involved in the politics of South America. Anyway, we have some good news here. Tesla has secured 4 new Tesla Megapack orders worth a combined $450 million in Georgia, the US. This is really good. And here's a bit more about that $150 million property, which supposedly has been confirmed. The sale of it to Elon Musk by multiple sales agents, and Ray is calling it complete BS, basically. The Chinese property market is in a serious downfall, and it has been now for a while, and this likely has created some desperate people. Tesla just entered a new market. It's a tiny market, but still, it's a new market. And this is pretty much it for today's news. I'll close with this last statement. It's not really about Tesla, so if you like, you can tune out right now. Make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't yet. But the fact that the US administration isn't defending X in Brazil says the US is okay with censorship in countries that allow freedom of speech, and the US is okay with countries unfairly shutting down US companies. For a country that loves to virtue signal its values, the silence is deafening. And by the way, just 1 month into the term of the Brazilian president, the American president and the Brazilian president, they both met in Washington and specifically pledged the US government would work together with Brazil's government to stamp out disinformation. Here's a statement from the White House showing that. Maybe this explains a little bit why we are not seeing Elon Musk and Starlink or SpaceX, why we are not seeing an American company being defended in Brazil by the American lawmakers. In other words, if they do the same with Tesla, I guess we shouldn't expect any help from the US government. And here is Commissioner of the FCC. He says that Brazil's decisions to ban X and freeze Starlink assets, they violate Brazil's own laws. And he wrote to his regulatory counterparts in Brazil to address these unlawful actions. But I doubt any of this is going to lead anywhere. I think this sort of request would have to come from the top in the US for it to have any consideration in Brazil. And while the FCC commissioner certainly has some power, it's internationally, I doubt it's significant. But none of this is going to stop SpaceX from making progress. It just launched its 7,000th Starlink satellite, which means Starlink now constitutes roughly 2/3 of all active Earth satellites. And the Wall Street Journal tested out SpaceX's Starlink Wi-Fi on an airplane and was blown away. It was like working from home, but home is in an airplane seat. Google Docs, Slack, web browsing, Spotify, it all kept up the whole time and there were no dropped connections. And Starlink had 4x lower latency than the next best Wi-Fi system they tested. And the last story today, Uber raised $4 billion in debt. The vast majority of the funds will be used to repay existing debt. Okay, so they are repaying debt with more debt. Make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't yet, and I will see you back probably on Monday. By joining Patreon, you will have access to all of my exclusive videos on Patreon, as well as how much I am willing to pay for each Tesla share between 2024 and 2033. If you join the investor tier, you will also have access to my valuation model, where you will see all of my assumptions, including deliveries, the energy business, Tesla's future businesses like FSD, and of course much more. And then if you want to easily download that and put in your own numbers, then this third tier is for you. To all of my Patreon supporters, thank you so much. Make sure to like the video and subscribe if you haven't yet as well. It's really important to like the videos because that makes it less likely that the channel will be shadow banned later, like my other big channel got shadow banned before from about 50% of my regular viewers. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.